skip Thanksgiving this year, Anna. Your presence makes everyone uncomfortable. Just transfer your usual monthly contribution to the business account. The text from my mother made my coffee taste like ash as I sat in my downtown apartment, high above the city I had fought to succeed in. My name is Anna Sullivan, and at 34, I had once again been reminded that to my family, I was nothing more than a bank account with legs. The irony. 6 months ago, I saved our family's restaurant with a secret $100,000 investment. They had no idea it was me. They believed some silent investor my uncle found had swooped in to rescue them. Sullivan's, the restaurant my grandfather built from the ground up, had been circling the drain. My younger sister Kate was running it into the ground, hiring friends, ignoring costs, and brushing off my advice with, "You're just an accountant. What do you know about restaurants?" What I knew was how to keep one alive. I managed finances for some of the most successful restaurant groups in the country. But to them I was still just the quiet, dependable one. The one they turned to when things got rough. The one they ignored the rest of the time. I stared at my mother's message, remembering the day my father called me, crying, fearing they'd lose everything. I could have let it fail. After everything they'd said, after all the ways they had dismissed me in favor of Kate, maybe I should have. But instead, I created a shell company and quietly became their savior. Thought maybe now they'd see me. They didn't. Kate continued treating the restaurant like her personal playground. My parents continued to back her every reckless choice. The profits I'd helped generate were drying up again, but now they expected monthly contributions from me to keep the lights on. Another ping. Message from Kate. "Mom's right. Thanksgiving will be better without your negativity. We've got important investors coming. We don't need your constant questioning." Important investors. I almost laughed. I was the only investor, and they were having Thanksgiving without me. I opened my laptop and checked the financial dashboard I'd built. The numbers were bad. Profits dropping, staff turnover rising, reviews tanking. My phone buzzed again. My mother. "Don't forget to transfer this month's payment early. Kate needs to order new equipment." I thought back to all the family dinners where Kate had taken credit for the restaurant's success. "My innovative management," she'd beam, while our parents nodded proudly. Meanwhile I sat quietly. Unacknowledged, expected to pay up without complaint. I opened my banking app and hovered over the transfer button. It would be easy to just keep the peace. But something in me had snapped. Instead, I opened a draft email and typed 3 words to my lawyer. "Activate phase 2. We'd prepared for this exact moment. Minutes later my dad called. "Anna, sweetheart. About Thanksgiving. You understand, right? Kate's been working so hard. We can't risk upsetting investors." Kept my voice calm. "I understand, Dad. By the way, how much does Kate need for the new equipment?" He perked up instantly. "About $30,000. You'll transfer it today, right? She's found some top-of-the-line stuff." "I'll take care of everything," I said, and I meant it. Just not how he expected. I glanced at my framed business degree on the wall, the one my parents never mentioned. Next to it sat a faded photo from the restaurant's grand opening 30 years ago. Me, age 4, sitting on my grandfather's lap as he cut the ribbon. He'd pulled me aside at my graduation. "You've got the head for business, Anna. Promise me you'll keep an eye on the place." Had promised. And today I would deliver. An hour later my lawyer called. "Everything is in order. As majority shareholder through your shell company, you have full authority to make management changes. Ready to proceed." I thought of Kate's smug texts. My mother's cold dismissal. My father's blind faith in her. "Yes," I said. "It's time." That evening I finalized the paperwork, made the necessary calls, and toasted to my grandfather with takeout and wine. My phone lit up. Another text from Kate. "Don't forget the transfer. The supplier needs an answer tomorrow." Oh, there would be changes tomorrow. Just not the kind she was expecting. The next morning, I arrived at Sullivan's an hour before opening. Autumn air chilled my skin. The smell of baking bread filled the air. Through the window, I saw Kate laughing with her underqualified staff, likely prepping another failed menu experiment. I wasn't alone. Beside me stood Diana, my lawyer, and behind us, two representatives from the restaurant management firm I'd hired. This wasn't revenge. It was restoration. Whether they liked it or not, I was going to save our family legacy. "Ready?" Diana asked, her heels tapping briskly against the pavement as we approached the front doors of Sullivan's. I squared my shoulders and nodded. Time to meet the investor. Inside, the restaurant buzzed with pre-opening activity. Kate turned mid-sentence, confusion washing over her face the moment she saw me. "Anna, what are you doing here? Did you transfer the money?" "I've called a family meeting," I announced, my voice cutting clean through the room. "We're busy," Kate snapped. "Some of us actually work instead of pushing papers for a living." Our parents emerged from the office, their expressions shifting from confusion to irritation. "Anna, we talked about this," Mom started. "Today isn't a good day. We have important business." "Yes," I said, cutting her off. "We do." I gestured to Diana, who set a stack of documents on the nearest table. "Everyone sit." Dad's eyes narrowed. "Who is she?" "This is Diana, my attorney," I said calmly. "And these two gentlemen are from elite restaurant management. But more importantly," I pulled out the final document, the one I'd waited 6 months to reveal. "I'm your silent investor." Silence dropped like a bomb. Kate's face drained of color. Mom clutched her chest. Dad stared at the papers as if they might rewrite themselves. That's not possible," Kate stammered. "Uncle Jim found our investor." "Uncle Jim found me," I replied. "He knew exactly who he was talking to, and he knew what you were doing to the restaurant Grandpa built." Diana stepped forward, her tone crisp and authoritative. "Miss Sullivan owns 70% of Sullivan's through her investment company. Given the restaurant's current financial decline and poor management practices, she is exercising her right to implement immediate structural changes." "You can't do this," Kate shrieked, snatching at the documents. "This is my restaurant. I saved it." I laughed, short and bitter. "Saved it? Kate, you're running it into the ground. Again. The only difference this time is, I'm not standing by and watching it happen." Dad jumped in, his tone condescending and familiar. "Sweetheart, let's talk this through as a family. Like you talked through banning me from Thanksgiving." Shot back. "Or when you spent my money to cover Kate's latest disaster." Mom tried a softer approach. "We just didn't want you to be burdened with the stress of running a restaurant. You have your corporate job. I manage the finances of multimillion-dollar restaurant chains," I interrupted. "For years I tried to help. You ignored every word because Kate was the golden girl." I nodded to the elite team, who immediately began presenting. System upgrades, cost controls, staff training, optimized menus, all the things I'd suggested for years. But now, the message came from professionals they couldn't dismiss. Kate burst into tears, her favorite tactic when cornered. "You're trying to ruin me. This place is all I have." "No," I said, voice firm. "This is Grandpa's legacy. And I promised him I'd protect it." I looked her in the eye. "You can stay on as a manager, with proper training. No more hiring unqualified friends. No more waste. No more treating this restaurant like your personal playground." "And if we say no?" Mom asked, icy and defensive. "Then I'll buy out your remaining shares at market value and move forward without you." I let my gaze sweep across the table, landing on each of them. "Your choice." Dad collapsed into a chair, looking suddenly older. I could see the reality hitting him, the years I spent trying to help, while they dismissed every word. Diana and her team began handing out contracts, training schedules, new protocols. No one moved. No one spoke. Their empire was unraveling, and I was finally at the helm. "Oh, and about Thanksgiving," I added, collecting my things. "Dinner will be at my place this year. As the primary owner of the family business, I think it's time we discuss the new direction. I turned to leave, but Kate's voice stopped me. Anna, wait. I didn't know. I paused at the door but didn't turn around. No, you didn't. None of you did. And that was the problem. The morning sun filtered through the restaurant windows, lighting up the old family photos on the wall, snapshots of a legacy they nearly destroyed. As I stepped outside, I heard my mother begin to cry and my father murmuring comfort. But I kept walking. For the first time in years I felt light. Felt free. Phase 2 complete. Now came the true test. Could they adapt to the new reality? The one where the daughter they had underestimated finally had the last word. The weeks leading up to Thanksgiving brought changes no one in my family expected. Under the guidance of the new management team, Sullivan's underwent a full transformation. Kate's friends were replaced with trained staff. Inventory systems were put in place. The menu was streamlined to feature our most profitable and best-reviewed dishes. And surprisingly, Kate was the first to adapt. After her initial tantrum, she dove into the training program. Whether it was out of spite or fear of losing everything, I didn't care. She was learning. She showed up early, took notes, asked questions. For the first time, she was managing like someone who understood what was at stake. My parents were a different story. Mom still refused to speak to me directly, sending every message through Dad, who now called daily, each conversation a clumsy blend of guilt and negotiation. Anna, he said one afternoon, couldn't we just go back to the way things were? The family was happier then. You mean when you were happy spending my money and shutting me out? I asked, calm but direct. No, Dad. This is better. For everyone, including the restaurant. He didn't argue. He couldn't. In just 3 weeks, profits were up 30%. Reviews had improved. Loyal customers were returning, drawn by the professionalism, the consistency, the food. The day before Thanksgiving, I visited the restaurant for a final walkthrough. The place looked incredible, clean, efficient, energized. Kate stood at the host stand reviewing our newly implemented reservation system. Anna, she said when she saw me. Her voice was quieter, steadier. I've been studying the quarterly projections. I think I finally understand what you meant about sustainable growth. I nodded, surprised by the flicker of pride in my chest. Good. That's what Grandpa always wanted. Then she blurted it out. I'm sorry. For everything. For how I treated you. For wasting your money. For Thanksgiving. She trailed off, looking at her hands. Prove it, I said simply. Be the manager this place deserves. Thanksgiving Day. My downtown apartment smelled of roasted turkey and spiced pies. I'd hired a professional chef, just one of the perks of being well-connected in the restaurant world. The table was set for 5. I wasn't sure everyone would show. At exactly 4 p.m., the doorbell rang. Kate arrived first, awkward in the lobby of my upscale apartment building, holding a bottle of wine. This place is amazing, she said, eyes scanning the room. There's a lot you never knew about me, I replied with a soft smile, taking the wine. A few minutes later, Mom and Dad arrived. Mom's eyes were red and puffy, and in her hands was a small silver-wrapped package. Before we eat, she said, voice trembling, I want you to have this. Inside was Grandpa's old recipe book. Worn, stained, loved. My throat tightened. This was the heart of Sullivan's, I whispered. He always said you were the one, Mom said gently. We should have listened. Diana arrived last, my surprise guest. Their eyes widened when I introduced her not just as my lawyer, but as my partner of 2 years. They hadn't known. They hadn't bothered to ask. But tonight was different. Dinner was honest, respectful, real. We spoke about the future of Sullivan's, about costs, plans, projections. Kate presented ideas for event nights that were finally grounded in smart, sustainable business practices. I found Grandpa's old guest book, she said. What if we did a throwback menu? His original recipes. But priced and portioned based on the models you showed me. That's actually a great idea, I said, genuinely impressed. Mom wiped her eyes with her napkin. Your grandfather would be proud of you, Anna. He turned to Kate. Proud of both of you. Dad set down his fork and took a breath. We were wrong. We treated you like an ATM instead of seeing who you really are. Can you forgive us? I looked around the table. At Kate, no longer entitled but evolving. At Mom, seeing me clearly for the first time. Dad, humbled. And at Diana, squeezing my hand under the table. I forgive you, I said slowly. But things can't go back to how they were. We move forward as equals. As professionals. As family. They nodded, understanding the weight of what I meant. Later we had pumpkin pie on the balcony, the city skyline glittering below. So, Kate began. About Christmas dinner. I laughed. Don't push it. Let's see how the restaurant handles the holiday rush first. As they left, each goodbye felt different. Genuine. Warm. Mom whispered, I love you, without following it up with a favor. Kate left with a stack of financial reports to review. Dad shook Diana's hand and welcomed her. Truly, into the family. Standing at my doorway watching them go, I felt it. Grandpa had always said the restaurant wasn't just about food. It was about family. About building something that lasts. And finally we were doing just that. The end.